Hello everyone, welcome to EduTap. So we have with us Mr. Ravikiran, who has a very impressive background. He's from engineering background and he has cleared SEBI Grade A in this year. So let's understand from him only that how from the engineering background he landed to the SEBI Grade A and how did he clear SEBI Grade A coming from the non-commerce background. So let's understand that from him, and let me tell you that he has an impressive background that we will be understanding, and we will be understanding the strategy from him today. Hello, Mr. Ravikiran.
Hi, ma'am.
Heartiest congratulations to you, first of all.
Thank you.
How are you feeling right now? Like very excited to clear SEBI?
Yeah, I would like to say pretty relaxed because I was preparing for the past 3 years. So seeing your name in the final list, it gives you some bit of relaxation.
That's true. That's
and I'm excited.
Absolutely true. Yeah, true. So now coming to the background, educational background, like you are from the engineering background, as you told me. And can you elaborate about your background a little, that you had a working experience also in SBI? So to the aspirants, that what you did, a little about that.
Ma'am, I would say that basically I worked for a software firm for about 10 months. And then I also have the work experience of 2.5 years. I worked for SBI as assistant manager. And then currently I'm working for Kadian Village Industries Commission, which is under Ministry of MSME with the central government. And I'm working for KVIC for the past 8 months.
Okay. So how did you land it in SEBI? Because working in SBI or working in KVIC, that is also a great opportunity, I can say. So how did you think that I want to give SEBI?
Preparing for these regulatory examinations, I decided when I was working for SBI. So when I was in SBI, I was looking at various other opportunities that I can go into. I have seen that RBI, SBI, RBI, SEBI, and NABARD provides those opportunities. So I thought of preparing for them.
Okay. Okay. So and in this year, like when you were giving the SEBI exam, you were also working at KVIC.
Yes, I'm working for KVIC.
Okay, so yeah, so you prepared and you as well as you were working. So it was like two things, and like you were juggling in between two things. How did you manage the two things, work and the preparation?
Ma'am, basically, I had done my preparation earlier. I had given this SEBI exam in 2018 also, where I was able to clear mains, but I'm not able to clear interview. In 2020 also, I gave SEBI exam and I wasn't able to clear mains this time. So I got some 64 something, and the cutoff was 66. So that helped me, even though I was working full time. I had the basic knowledge, so I built from that. And whatever the mistakes that I had done earlier, I introspected it and tried to overcome them.
Yeah, that is really nice. That if you have a little knowledge, that will help you in the future in the SEBI especially, because the static paper is there especially. So now, like when you started the preparation for SEBI, you were from the engineering background, and at that time also you were competing with the CACS or the commerce background students. So were you not afraid to start such a preparation in which you will have a negative point, we can say, not negative but backlog?
It's not backlog. I would say it would be a drawback. Let's say, I mean, when you are competing with someone whose entire career was into finance. Basically, SEBI, the examination we can see now, commerce, and then finance, and then companies had all those subjects now. CS were preparing.
Yeah, we are live now. So yes, so I'm really very sorry, can you repeat the last thing again, that yes, it is a background that it is a drawback, a little drawback, that we can say that you are not from the commerce background, still you overcame that and cleared SEBI this time. So how did you landed upon SEBI, like thinking, were you afraid that you are from non-commerce background?
Basically, when I was giving this exam in 2018, I was a bit afraid. So I hadn't prepared. So I hadn't had any proper plan to go about the exam. So my sources were very petty. Let's say in 2018, I didn't follow one particular source. I was going through various materials that I could find online. So I didn't have any revision. Basically, I had one reading. That's it.
Okay.
I can say that is the major disadvantage at that point of time, and I couldn't clear that exam. But in my later attempts, I stuck to one particular source as my base source, and then whatever the material that I was able to find online, I was just referring them as my secondary source. So
Okay.
I basically stuck to my one source and revised it quite a lot of number of times.
Okay. So as you said that in the later attempts, the one source was the most important thing, that if you follow a single source, like mindfully, then you can clear the exam. So now coming to the sources, what was your source for the exam?
Yeah, I can say that I only prepared EduTap this time.
Okay.
I hadn't gone, I stuck to EduTap only. And then I revised it a number of times. And जो भी YouTube में मिला, whatever I got the other material from YouTube, I went through them, but basically I stuck to EduTap this time and revised it a number of times.
Okay.
Since in 2018, my friend who got selected in SEBI, he suggested me you just follow EduTap. So this time I thought I should go with one particular source, and I went with EduTap, and it worked for me.
Yeah. So one source is the most important thing. Yeah, you should like if you have some like you want to do more mock test or something, you can solve other questions and all. But it's like you have to follow one source to have the clarity, as well as to have like, so that you do not read again and again the same topic in different documents. That will be very troublesome, I think.
Yes, all those institutes, they are just thinking for us. So what is the point of me again going through all that trouble? So I just went with basically I didn't have any commerce background, so I had to go with any institute. So since my friend suggested me that you go with EduTap, I went with EduTap, and I got decent marks.
Okay, so that is really nice that you have to stuck with one source. You can practice with the other things. You can practice a lot of questions, but the source, the basics are the same in all the like the basics are the most important thing that you have to focus on. Now coming to the the pattern that we will go is, in first we will discuss about the phase 1, then we will discuss about the phase 2, and then we will go for the interview part. Okay, so starting with the phase 1, how was your QRE and GA? Starting with that.
Basically, I like the exam to be toughest because right from my childhood, I was good at quant and everything, reasoning part. English, I'm able to speak English, but grammatically, my English is not that good. So QRE part, I'm pretty comfortable. Even though, even this RBI or SEBI or any other exam, I won't practice it before the exam. I just go to the exam and give it right then and there itself. So QRE, I don't have any problem.
Yeah. So yes, as you said that you were already very good in the QRE and like quant reasoning, so you didn't need to focus. And it's like the cumulative cutoff is there. It is not sectional cutoff. So you were not very worried about the first paper of the phase 1.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. And did you give a lot of mock test and all, like for the QRE also?
No, ma'am. I haven't done any mock tests. I just went with the exam, that's it, directly.
Okay. Now coming to the paper 2, as you said that for the phase 1, paper 1, you were very comfortable. So now coming to the main part of the paper 2. Now there is a student that is asking about that if you can tell your marks for the phase. Yeah, if you can share your marks for the phase 1.
Phase 1, I scored 59, ma'am. Paper 2.
Okay. Okay. And like when you started for preparing such exams, how were you scoring at that time, if you remember anything?
What sort of exams, ma'am?
Like when you started preparing for the SEBI, did you give any mock test?
Ma'am, basically, I don't give mock tests, but I just go through the solutions.
Okay. Okay, that is nice. So now coming to the paper 2 of the phase 1, that is starting with the management and finance. So this time management was quite very tricky and it was quite very difficult, as I have heard. So what was your take on that? How did you handle such kind of tricky questions?
Ma'am, basically, when I was preparing for UPSC, my optional was public administration.
Okay.
So the first paper that we read in public administration, the syllabus, it's the same.
Okay.
That we read for RBI or SEBI.
Okay.
So I was like pretty clear in concepts.
Okay.
So whatever the conceptual questions come from management, I think I was able to solve them conceptually. But if they ask factual questions, I might also be not able to solve them.
So your concepts, like the concepts are the main thing, and in management the concepts were very clear. Your concepts were very clear, and that's why it was not very hard for you.
Yes, I can say that.
So for the aspirants also, the conceptual clarity is the main. Just cramming won't help for SEBI especially.
But not per se, not SEBI, but you need to know the basic, let's say, some facts. At the same time, you should be clear about concepts also.
Okay. Okay. Now coming to the second, like finance. As you didn't have the background of the commerce, so how, like coming to the finance and costing especially, so how did you handle such kind of subjects?
Ma'am, I don't know if, like I said, I don't know anything about what the other institutes are providing, but for costing, finance, and then Companies Act, I followed only EduTap. I haven't preferred any other material. And the concepts that were explained through those videos and PDFs, they were made, I mean, anyone can easily understand if they go through it once, even once. So I went through those PDFs, and whatever the questions that came in exam, and if I was able to relate it through PDFs, I was able to answer.
So बहुत ही आसानी से you were able to understand.
Yes.
So
like
that
I said,
is nice.
Like I said, I didn't have any background, so I had to go. I had to take the help of one or the other coaching institute. So I went with EduTap, and I was able to understand what you were saying. Basically, you made it so simple, even for a non-commerce background candidate to understand those concepts.
Yeah, that is really nice and kind words. Thank you so much. And it's like the motive of providing the material that anyone can understand it, even if he or she is not from the commerce background. So yeah, that is really nice and kind of you.
But
so,
I see that recently EduTap is dumping each and materials from online and all. But I would like to say one thing: the year by year, the exam pattern is getting tougher and tougher. So what the institutes were doing, they are trying to cover vast area, trying to figure it out that what are the possible areas that the examiner can ask questions.
The internet. Yeah, so you were saying about the material, that it is so vast. Of course, the level of the level of the phases is going so high, as we can see that from, if we see the previous year papers, and from that if we compare this year paper, that was of course another level. So yes.
So basically, the examiner is trying to cover the, let's say, vast area of subject. So obviously the institutes have to follow the examiner, and they too will increase their content and all. So we don't have any other choice but to go with whatever you provide. So I suggest you that you don't, whoever is listening to this, I suggest you that don't listen to all of these. You have to go through the material, whatever the institutes are providing us.
Yeah, so it's like कि material ज़्यादा है लेकिन you have to do that means वो ज़्यादा material भी करना पड़ेगा because
Yes.
that's the demand of the exam. Examiner ने syllabus दे रखा है and that is
Yes.
all that we are covering. So that might look like a huge amount of the things that you need to understand and remember, but of course you have to study that because syllabus में है कुछ भी आ सकता है. Like ISLM, no one was expecting ISLM to come in such
Yes.
a way, like in such a typical way, I might say. एंड क्योंकि हम लॉ ऑफ डिमांड को देखते हुए आए थे कि लॉ ऑफ डिमांड पूछा गया ऑफकोर्सली प्रीवियस ईयर में, सो ऑफकोर्सली यू हैव टू स्टडी बिकॉज एग्जामिनर कभी भी कुछ भी पूछ लेगा. So that is the
We
pattern
have,
we can.
yeah, we have to prepare for the worst. That's
Yeah.
what I follow.
Yeah. And syllabus, of course, the syllabus is given, so you have to prepare everything that is in the syllabus. कहीं से भी कुछ भी आ जाएगा. So of course, that is true that you are speaking, and that is so true, of course. So now coming to the finance and management, you said that was easy for you to understand because you could easily understand it. And coming to the costing, now there were numericals. How did you handle the numericals? You practice a lot?
No, ma'am. Basically, if the if the examiner asked the toughest numericals, only a handful of people would be able to solve. So I basically left those numericals.
Okay.
I just go through these formulas and all. I note it down, and I had written one example so that I can understand how I apply those formulas and all. That's what I did. Basically, those simple areas, so simple formulas where we can just apply the formula and get the answer.
Okay.
Those
And
sort of questions I did, and I didn't go deeper into the concepts because there were 6 different areas to cover. Na?
yes.
If you are weak in one area, you can cover the marks in other areas where you have strength.
Yes, that is a really good strategy that if you do not have to leave the whole subject like Ravikiran did, that you have to do like costing part he did, but he just did the easy part or he didn't go too much in depth. So if the easy question will come, he did it easily, but if it is a tougher question, that will be tough for all the students, so that he can leave easily. So that is also a really smart strategy, that instead of indulging too much in the depths and the complex situation, just if you find some subject hard, just go through it from the above. That is nice. And if any easy question come, you can do it easily. So now
Yes.
coming to the economics, how did you find it in the exam?
Ma'am, basically I'm like we discussed, I'm an engineer, but when I was preparing for civil services, UPSC, I found economics to be quite an interesting subject. So obviously, whenever I was reading some new concepts, I was like, what do you say? And I mean, we can say energetic, something like wakes me up, and I found it very interesting. So obviously, I went read it.
Yeah, that happens with me also. Like economics is something that if you connect, you connect. You
Yes.
find it very interesting when you connect with it. So you
Yes.
have to make a connection with economics, and after that, you will find it very interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah, when I say that, many of the students or many of the people say that, what are you saying? It's such a complex subject. But if you find it interesting, yeah, you will fall in love with it.
Yes.
So yes, that is absolutely true. And were you able to do the questions in the exam also? You were able to apply that?
Ma'am, I think this time the economics questions were quite difficult. Na?
True.
Quite difficult. I'm not able to do each and every question, but I did reasonably well because I scored some 67 marks in paper 2.
Okay.
Which for an engineer, I think it's a pretty
Pretty.
reasonable score.
Yeah, pretty good. Yes,
Yes.
that's true. Like bringing 67 marks in the phase 2, that is pretty good. And now coming to the, like we have discussed about the economics, that you find it interesting. And if you find it interesting, you will do it better, of course.
Better.
Yeah. Now coming to the commerce and accountancy, because of course in that also there were numericals and there were many typical numericals that were there. So how did you follow? What strategy do you follow for the commerce and accounts?
I didn't have any particular strategy per se, but whatever I have read, I read it thrice. I had revised it because the concepts were new to me. So if I have to remember those things, I need to go number of times.
Yes.
That's what I did with company set. That's the same strategy I followed for commerce and accounts. And numerical wise, I was not that good,
Okay.
but conceptual wise, I had the proper understanding that whatever it is required. Like I said earlier, but basic numericals I have followed.
Okay.
Basic numericals I did. Like
Okay.
I said, I was good at economics. I was good at administration, management.
Okay.
So these two areas I covered thoroughly. And Companies Act, it is basically it's a factual thing. So I revised it a number of times. The difference, in my previous attempt, I just read Companies Act, but I didn't make any notes of myself.
Okay.
So when in the exam, I was not able to solve those questions.
Okay.
But this time I made notes and I revised it quite a number of times. Even just before going to the exam hall, I was reading Companies Act only. Since those are factual questions, so if you were able to remember the exact fact, you were able to score 2 marks.
Okay.
So these three areas: finance and management, economics, and Companies Act. These are my strengths that I think, and I revised it a number of times.
Yeah.
And then commerce and accounts
and costing.
These subjects I don't know properly, so I kept it simple. I did the bare minimum that is required, so that when the question is quite simple, I should be able to solve it. If the question is too difficult, I should be able to guess it.
Yeah. Yeah, nice. So that is a very good strategy that we have learned, that all the aspirants should learn from Ravikiran, because most of the like aspirants or most of the people believe that you have to do all the 6 subjects, but you have to be smart in that area also. Means if you are doing the 6 subjects, where you have to focus more and where you can focus a little less, because the hard questions anyone will not be able to do, or you do not have to like go too much in depth or in too much complexity. It will confuse your mind also. So now coming to the company's law. So you said that in the previous attempt you were able to do better, but in this attempt you did very good. So how were you revising? Because so many things to remember, of course.
I would say this time I was lucky. Basically, whatever the questions that came in Companies Act, I did correct. I mean, there were 9 questions, I think, and I did 9 questions, and 9 questions where I was able to mark it correctly. Like I said, what I did this time was I made notes, gist of notes, and basically it was like 10 papers, and whatever the facts that are there, basically from your notes only, I wrote it there and I revised it a number of times. Luckily, this time they didn't ask any concepts. They just asked facts from Companies Act, and I was able to solve it.
Okay. Yeah, that is really nice. And you have to make notes for the company's law. There is no second thing that you can do. Notes are the most important thing in the company's law, because of course you have to remember all the things. So you have to write it down yourself. So
and
that is
basically, if you make your own notes, the retention would be more.
Yeah, true.
I can give you my notes, but you will not be able to understand it. You will not be able to remember it. Basically, if you make your own notes, then retention would be more, and the output also would be quite high.
True. And how many times did you revise it before the phase 1 paper 2?
Before the phase 1, like I said, ma'am, I have given this exam 2 times before.
Yeah.
So I did only once because the cutoff was 40 marks. I know that with bare minimum preparation, I will be able to clear this exam. Yeah. So before phase 1, I did only once, but after phase 1, I think I did 2 times, each and every subject, and some subjects I was able to revise thrice.
Okay, so that is really nice. That is really true. Now coming to the phase 2. First of all, did you prepare for the 6 subjects integrated for the phase 1 and the phase 2, or you said that I will not prepare that much, like not in depth in the phase 1, but you did it in depth for the phase 2?
Ma'am, I didn't segregate phase 1 and phase 2 because whatever the whatever the subjects were there in phase 1, the same thing is in phase 2, right?
Yeah, true.
Especially for SEBI. For
Yeah.
RBI, you can say QRE, English, and all.
Yeah.
But for SEBI, it was like phase 1 and phase 2, you cannot segregate it.
True.
Basically, it's the same.
Yeah.
So I didn't segregate that. Whatever I did thoroughly, right from start itself. So before phase 1, I was able to, like I said, my strength, management, economics, and then company side. I was able to complete it before phase 1 thoroughly, and I did some part of costing and all.
Okay.
After phase 1, I revised it, whatever I have read before phase 1. That's it.
And the integrated preparation is a must, you can say, because like in the paper 2, it is coming same.
Especially for SEBI. If you come to RBI, I wasn't able to clear phase 1 in 2019. The cutoff was too high for me to clear. But in 2020 and 2021, I was able to clear RBI prelims.
Okay.
Basically, the difference between SEBI and RBI was RBI, you need to segregate preparation, phase 1 and phase 2. But for SEBI, you need not segregate it because whatever the subjects were there in phase 1, they are same for phase 2.
Okay.
And the preparation strategy also is the same. You need not segregate that.
Okay. And how, like for the phase 2, coming to the phase 2, you said that you were revising during the time given. So how were you able to revise 6 subjects at a time? Because there are so many subjects that you have to revise and understand again. So what was your strategy for the revision of the 6 subjects?
Ma'am, the same thing. Wherever you feel confident, you should be thorough in everything. Let's say not everyone is able to complete 6 subjects, that I can say, except 1 or 2 people. Like in our whoever got selected this time, the highest mark was 86 in paper 2. Okay. So they are exceptional. Let's say 5 people out of 80, they were exceptional. They were able to complete all the subjects. All those 75 people they are remaining, they will focus on their strengths. So they will thoroughly complete it. And wherever they are lagging, they will try to do the bare minimum. This is what I feel every aspirant does.
True. That is so true.
So I revised those 3 subjects where I feel comfortable quite a lot of times. And then I did twice the other areas.
Okay. So now coming to the descriptive part, how did you cover the descriptive English?
One thing I would say to everyone, don't neglect English. That is the reason why I was not able to clear RBI in 2021. I scored 54 and I missed the cutoff by 8 marks. If I was able to write, if I was able to get another 8 marks, I would have cleared RBI last time. So basically, don't try to neglect it, and we need to practice, ma'am. Unless and until you practice and show it to someone, you will not be able to find your mistakes. Like mine, when I wrote that exam practice test, the madam told me that basically you were writing, especially comprehension. Basically, you were writing 1 or 2 line answers, which will fetch you only 1 or 2 marks. If you want to get 5 marks, you need to write the context. I mean, whatever the question, if they ask one particular question, you need to write what happened before and what is going to happen after, apart from writing the whatever the question has been asked. So you elaborate it. Okay. And the same is the case with Resi. So if you practice it, then you will find your mistakes so that you can rectify it. Otherwise, you will not be able to score better in English. This time I scored 55 in SEBI, which is pretty decent score this time because they haven't given marks liberally, especially this time in SEBI.
Okay, so in descriptive English, you were able to score 55.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and now coming to the framework that you used for the essays, especially that you wrote in paragraphs, or how did you started the essay?
Basically, I wrote in paragraphs. Since I have the UPSC background, we were habitual of writing these questions. We practice writing these questions. So basically, we follow three simple points. There should be introduction, and basically, whenever I write an introduction, I use the facts. Let's say financial inclusion. If they say financial inclusion, then I will go with what is the change that the government is adopting, or whatever the scheme that the government has brought, and then the body, and then the conclusion. Conclusion would be futuristic. It should reflect what we should aspire in future. So I followed only these 3 steps for writing the essay.
Okay. And you started with essay only, or some other? Essay or reading comprehension?
I started with reading comprehension, and then I did essay, and at the last I did essay.
Okay, okay. And like you were able to complete on time?
Yes, ma'am. My typing speed was good, so I didn't have any issues with completing the paper.
Coming to the interface, usually students say that the interface is really very bad. So how did you interact with that? What was your experience with the interface?
Ma'am, interface though it's hard for everyone, but you should be able to adapt. Otherwise, I mean, yeah, I adapted well. Interface was bad, but still I was able to manage it.
Okay. And how many mock papers or how many mock tests you have prepared for the descriptive English, if you have?
Ma'am, I have given only 2 mock tests.
Okay.
First one I gave to understand where I was doing wrong.
Okay.
And second one I did, so basically I incorporated whatever the examiner has told me to check. So I was checking that whether I was able to incorporate it or not the second time. That's it.
Okay, that is really nice. And you continuously practiced for the essays and all, or you practice only those 2 mock tests?
I practiced only those 2 mock tests, and for essays, like I said, I was basically a UPSC aspirant, so we are not lack of content. So we know something about everything. So whatever the question that comes now, we will be able to write at least 300 words.
Okay. Yeah, that is true. So, okay. So we have discussed about the management, finance, costing, commerce and accounts, and the economics. And that is all about the 6 subjects that we discussed. And you have given a very good strategy that you have to focus on your strengths. And then you have to see that where your weaknesses and just do a bare minimum that you can afford. And now you have given a good strategy for the descriptive, and you have told that how you followed and what you followed and how you cleared the exam. Now coming to the interview part, that is how many marks did you get in the interview?
Ma'am, I was given 8 marks. That's it.
Okay. So, and how was your interview? It was like the panel was cordial, or?
Yes, ma'am. Panel was cordial, and basically this time they didn't focus on any technical aspects. Okay. All they asked was basically the HR. Most of the questions were around HR.
Okay.
So and a family background, and then my educational background. And since I worked in SBI, they asked about banking. And then I was working in MSME, so they asked about MSMEs and the steps that the government is taking and all. So basically, your profile decides how your interview goes.
Yes. So how many members were there in the panel?
Ma'am, there were in total 4. Okay. And 3 were there in the location, and one madam, she was there through Zoom.
Okay, okay. And like, what was the first question that was asked, if you remember?
Introduce yourself.
Okay.
And then I told you that where my name, and then from where I belong, and then my educational background and my work experience and all.
Was there any question, any technical question?
No, ma'am, not at all. There were no technical questions.
As well as there was no question on the SEBI website or circulars or something?
They asked me, have you gone through SEBI website? And they asked me that if you were given the opportunity, which department would you like to choose? This is the basic question that has been asked to each and every aspirant.
Okay, okay, that is really nice. So, and did you give, like, before going for the final interview, did you give any mock interview also?
Yes, ma'am, I have taken 1 mock interview from SEBI EduTap itself.
Okay.
And basically, they told me that you should be thorough in your profile at least. So whenever they ask any question from your profile, you should you should be able to answer it.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
That's.
And that was very helpful. The interview, that the mock interview, was it helpful for the real one?
Ma'am, at least, like I said, you should practice it before.
Yes.
So yes, it helped me.
Okay. And was there any question that you stuck at, like you couldn't answer easily?
Yes, ma'am. The sir asked that which department would you like to join? Basically, I couldn't say it. I was not able to say. So there I stuck, and sir said, I said, sorry, sir, I couldn't answer it. So he said, okay.
Okay.
So basically, not everyone doesn't know everything. No? So
Yeah.
when you don't know anything, you can just explain it to them.
Okay. Okay. And you have to do very good for the mains exam because you do not know how the interview goes. So as your interview marks were really very good, like your mains exam marks were quite very good. So that's like that also helped you during the interview, like for the final selection. I mean.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is all. That thank you so much, Ravikiran, for coming. Ravikiran for coming.
Thank you, ma'am.
And is there any final message for the aspirants before your journey to the SEBI starts?
Basically, I was preparing for these exams since 2018, and I was not able to clear RBI or SEBI or NABARD. So I can say that you cannot expect what you say. You don't know whether you will be selected or not. What all we can do was prepare and then rectify whatever the mistakes that we are doing earlier and try to move on.
Yeah, that is really nice. A nice message to all those parents that yes, you will do mistakes, but you have to learn from it and you have to move on. Like you do not have to stuck at one place. That is so true. That is really nice of you, Ravikiran, to come here and join me in this interview to give the aspirants such valuable lessons. Even like I have learned a lot from you. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ravi.